yeah, and the sets are $251. The special set, or special price for the month.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabalabha Girivaridhari Gopi Janabalabha Girivaridhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tiram Vanachari Jamuna Tiram Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabalabha Girivaridhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tiram Vanachari Jamuna Tiram Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayed Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. This morning we're reading from Canto 11, Chapter 3, Verse 30. Parasparanukattanam Pavanam Bhagavad Yashaha Mitto Ratir Mitastushtir Nivritir Mita Atmanaha Parasparanukattanam Pavanam Bhagavad Yashaha Mitto Ratir Mitastushtir Nivritir Mita Atmanaha. Please chant. Parasparanukattanam Pavanam Bhagavad Ashraya Mitto Ratir Mitastushtir Raspa Sustir Vritir Mita Atmanaha Parasparanukattanam Bhavanam Bhagavad Shaha Mito Ratir Mitastushtir Vritir Mita Atmanaha Parasparanukattanam Pavanam Bhagavad Yashaha Mito Ratir Mitastushtir Nivritir Mita Atmanaha Parasparanukattanam Pavanam Bhagavad Yashaha Mito Ratir Mitastushtir Nivritir Mita Atmanaha Paraspara mutual Anukattanam discussion Pavanam purifying Bhagavat of the Supreme Lord Yashaha glories Mitaha mutual Rati loving attraction Mitaha mutual Tushti satisfaction Nivriti cessation of material miseries Mitaha mutual Atmana of the soul. Translation. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. Such a nice verse. Please repeat. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness should not envy one another or quarrel among themselves. Giving up all such mundane feelings, they should gather together and chant the glories of the Supreme Lord for mutual purification. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out that glorification of the Supreme Lord is especially potent when performed in the association of pure devotees. When devotees engage in Sankirtan, chanting the glories of the Lord together, they experience the highest transcendental bliss and satisfaction. Thus they encourage one another to give up material sense gratification, which is based on illicit sexual connections with women. One devotee will say to another, "Oh, you have given up sense gratification? Starting today I shall also give it up." One should learn to increase one's love for the devotees, to satisfy them, and to give up sense objects unfavorable for serving Krishna. And one should learn to view the entire universe as paraphernalia for the Lord's service. By engaging the objects of the senses in Krishna's service, one automatically becomes detached from them. And as one passes one's days in the association of the Lord's devotees, one's transcendental ecstasy increases more and more, through discussions about the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one who wants to be free from the harassment of Maya in the form of sense gratification must constantly associate with pure devotees of the Lord who have no engagement other than chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord and carrying out his mission on earth. Srila Madhvacharya has pointed out that just as one should cultivate friendship with devotees, one must cultivate a spirit of friendship toward the demigods who manage the universe on the Lord's behalf. Thus one should live peacefully within this world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. A very appropriate verse for this morning. Excuse me. And I'd also like to say how pleased my wife Jita Mitra and I are to be back here in Houston. We rolled in here 37 years ago, and just when we were 30 years old. And has it changed a bit, Jeet? So the purpose of a temple is this parasparanukathanam, bringing devotees together for glorifying the Lord, cultivating a friendship amongst ourselves in the process, and using that powerful combination of sangha to lift ourselves above attachments to this world. It is the very cause of our liberation. As Lord Kapila Dev speaks to his mother Devahuti, satam prasangam mama virya samvido. When the devotees come together to talk about mama virya samvido, the glories of the Lord, then they develop shraddha, ritir, and bhakti. Faith, taste, and devotion. This development, this consequential development, leads to liberation, just as we're reading in this verse. Shraddha, ritir, bhakti, anukramisyati. Tajoshanadash apavarga vartmani. The path of liberation becomes open by that powerful association. I often think of Srila Prabhupada coming to New York, stepping off that gangway from the Jaladuta, and not knowing whether to turn right or left. Imagine there was not a single devotee in the whole country. Not a single devotee. And yet, he was needing this association of devotees, as every devotee does. He was not content to be solitary in Vrindavan. He was very blissful there, but he was not willing to stay because he had been ordered by his Guru Maharaj to take this message to the Western world. So what did Srila Prabhupada have to do to have association of devotees in this God-forsaken country? Right? He had to create his own association. That was the whole mission of the devotee. That is the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness, to increase the number of Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada said that this is how we can identify if Krishna consciousness is being spread, if there are more devotees coming into the Sangha. It is also an incomparably uplifting experience for us as the practicing devotees to see the amazing transformation that takes place when the non-devotee comes to Krishna consciousness, isn't it? Is there anything more inspiring or enlivening or faith-building? There's a religious sect called the Amish, the Quakers in the United States. It was very popular back in the 1900s, 1800s. And because of their practices and inability, they actually had an ethic that you had to be born. I believe that was their problem. You had to be born as a Quaker to be a practicing Quaker. So they died out. The last living Quaker quaked away 150 years ago. And this is what happens if there is no dynamic creation of or spreading of Vaishnavism. Right? Then we just kind of age out. And our own, although we may maintain our own faith, it becomes more of a memory of the time when Krishna consciousness was spreading dynamically. Isn't it? So this association of devotees is so potent. There really is no substitute for lifting us out of material attachment. This is because Krishna inspires us from within. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam jena mam upayanti te. By trying to please him through spreading his glories, he gives us enlightenment from within. And then, in that association, it's like Prabhupada compared it to the stock exchange. Of course, it's all done electronically these days, but in the old days, they would be in the same room, and someone wants to sell, and someone wants to buy, and it's all right there, and it takes place right in the moment, and everything, and the market expands very quickly. So in the same way, in a kirtan, or in a class, or when we're just together discussing Krishna consciousness, boom, 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 the dynamic exchange of spiritual experience lifts us. Majchita madgata prana bodhayantas parasparam. Katayatas chamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. It lifts us because it gives us a param drishtva, a higher taste that exceeds that of just mundane gratification of all varieties. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Satisfaction and pleasure from the association of devotees. So Prabhupada created these little islands of Sangha. And it was the fellowship of other Vaishnavas that drew many of them in. I was just listening to Satsvarup Maharaj, one of the very early followers of Srila Prabhupada. And he said he was a very introverted person. So when he came to the temple, to 26 Second Avenue, he was a loner. He said he just sat in the back. He didn't know anybody. He liked the Swami, but there were events going on at the temple, and he wouldn't go because no one had invited him. So, seeing this, Srila Prabhupada said, there is a festival coming tomorrow, and I would like to personally invite you to attend. He didn't attend the first initiation, although he'd been coming a lot, but nobody invited him, so he didn't go. So Prabhupada said, I'm personally inviting you. And he also said when he came, there was a nice devotee named Roy Ram who just said, hi, what's your name? And started talking with him and showed some friendliness. That attracted him also. So it's more than knowing the philosophy. We need to be able to make people feel welcome and make them feel included in the fellowship of devotees. And that has a powerful effect because it's something everybody needs. It is so powerful that people will do crazy things like follow the 4 regulator principles just to have the association of devotees. They will sit and chant on beads for an hour. All right, I'll do it if I can stay with these people I like. See, this is the way we wonder, what is that power that Prabhupada had that could draw these non-Vaishnava, non-Hindu foreigners into Krishna consciousness? That was it. he was compassionate to them, he was attentive to them, and then others caught that mood. And even when he left New York for San Francisco, they maintained, and people kept coming. See? So it takes a village to raise a Vaishnava. This is the point. It takes the Sangha of the whole community, the openness, the compassion, the enthusiasm to bring people in. If we can present that, people from all walks of life will want to take part in this movement. That's our challenge. It's not so much knowing the philosophy as living the philosophy, as enacting it and sharing it in our lives. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj says that the principles of religion are not established by logic and debate, but they are established by the behavior of the devotees. So the behavior of the devotees is paramount if we want to spread this movement and increase the Sangha. You know, our children see Krishna consciousness, those of us who have children. They see Iskcon, they see our Sangha, and they appreciate many aspects of it. But if they see that it's stagnant, it's not relevant to the greater society, it might be something nice for my family practice, but it's not something highly important to my life because I have to deal with the realities of life outside of this little bubble of Vaishnavism. See, but in fact, Vaishnavism is meant for everyone. Jivara Swarupoi Nitya Krishna Das. Every spirit soul out there is a part and parcel of Krishna, is eternally Krishna's servant, and they've forgotten it. You just go to Walmart, next time you're in Walmart, just look around and imagine everybody wearing a sari and a dhoti. Just imagine if they were all Vaishnavas there shopping at Walmart. Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? So, for our children to see the relevance of Krishna consciousness, if not for ourselves, for them, we need to find the ways and means to do what Prabhupada did, to perpetuate that impact that he made on society. That was for everybody. And that's the challenge that we have to spread Krishna consciousness. As Hridayananda Maharaj writes here, together we encourage one another to give up material sense gratification. One devotee will say to another, "Oh, you have given up sense gratification? Today also I shall give it up." So if we think that we can rise above our own conditioning, on our own strength, we have missed the point. We need the association, and especially that powerful experience of people coming to Krishna consciousness. Nothing makes us feel more inspired to maintain and enhance our own spiritual lives than seeing others taking it up. And especially if they need our association to grow as devotees. So this is the purpose of the Krishna House project. As I say, very, very relevant verse to this subject. Our whole goal in the Krishna House in Gainesville, where Jita and I have been preaching for the last 15 years, has been to increase the Sangha. And by taking what Srila Prabhupada did on 26 2nd Avenue, we found that it's still possible to do. This has been one of the most joyful experiences of our lives, to have hundreds of young people from all walks of life coming in and taking up Krishna consciousness in a serious way. It's actually been miraculous. And we think of Srila Prabhupada starting from nothing and creating a Sangha. So with all the resources and the assets that we have now, the beautiful temple, the wonderful devotees in the community, we have so much more to work with, to start with. The many challenges we've been through to bring us here are a great legacy of accomplishment. It's not that we are failing, but there is a need to kind of look back at Srila Prabhupada and see, how did he do it? What did he do? Now, one of the key things he did was to value this tiniest spark of interest in every single young man and woman who came into that storefront. He would just spend hours with them freely. He would inquire from them about their lives. He would answer their questions endlessly and be there for them. that focus on the needs of a new person are perhaps our biggest challenge in a wonderful established community like this, to shift our attention to the point where we are making the needs of the newcomer our needs. Because we need their association, we want to see them come. We want to inspire our children. We want to inspire other devotees by increasing the Sangha. So what are the needs of the newcomers? That's going to vary from person to person, of course. If a person is born and raised in Hindu tradition, they're familiar with so many practices. They have an advantage. They can take very easily to Krishna consciousness and appreciate it. But if they don't have that cultural background, we have to dial it way back and make things very simple and very clear and lower our expectations for their cultural adaptation. In other words, if they have to come to so many new cultural practices in order to take to hearing and chanting, it's a very difficult challenge. This is what Srila Prabhupada did to build his Sangha. He did not press them to come immediately to such a high standard. He let them come in as they were. And he tolerated so much from them, didn't he? So much nonsense, so many things. Think nothing of it. That was his mantra. When he had to keep his food stuff in the refrigerator with meat, think nothing of it. When he had to stay with people who were smoking, think nothing of it. He tolerated so much just to give those people a chance to be devotees. So that's what I wanted to talk with you about today. To not only tolerate me haranguing about these points, but to be in the mood of tolerating the newcomers who are going to be coming and joining us here. We have Shyamasundar Prabhu and the Temple Council have very graciously offered us the use of the urban farmhouse as a base for recruiting and training newcomers. It's a beautiful setting. It's perfect for the purpose. And Brihat Mridanga Prabhu here has come from Gainesville. He has 3 years of training there at Krishna House. He's going to take charge of the men's program. His able associates, Patita Pavan and Gaur Hari, have agreed to tolerantly stop living in all male association for a while because we have 5 young ladies who are going to be moving in a week at the Krishna House. We have segregated the ashrams, the men's side, ladies' side. There'll be strict separation. But the Sangha of young men and young women together is what Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita was his secret for success in the West. He said in the Adi Leela, chapter 7, he writes about how Lord Chaitanya drowned the whole world, flooded the whole world with love of Godhead, but the Mayavadis floated to the surface. And so he accepted sannyas to trick them, so they would have to offer respect. So Prabhupada writes that the Acharya will make adjustments in time, according to time and circumstance. And this is one of the adjustments he said he made. That he welcomed the young ladies as well as the young men from these foreign cultures who were taking interest in Krishna consciousness. So he said he had received much criticism from his godbrothers for this. But he said they can do nothing to spread Krishna consciousness, while this way we are spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. So they will have to be satisfied with their own foolishness. So this is one of the secrets for our success in Gainesville, where we've had 350 devotees come for training over the last 12 years. That the men's program, the women's program, side by side, equal facilities, equal opportunities, strict segregation, strict following regular principles, but the kind of interaction that they're very used to in their upbringing, coeducational environment. So this is a big cultural shift. And I understand that you've been implementing some of the things that I mentioned a few weeks ago when I was here about taking the ghee lamp to everybody, regardless of their gender, just wherever they're standing, letting men and women chant in the Bhagavatam verse. All these things are critically important for the young woman coming in to feel like she is also a welcome part of the community. And when the young women come, the young men come, then they feel, yes, Krishna consciousness is something I can relate to. I don't have to change my life so dramatically. That's the secret. And then they become part of a fellowship. That's when it really takes off. So we have the physical facilities. We have the wonderful support of the administration. We have leadership. One young lady from Gainesville has also volunteered to come and run the ladies' ashram, Bhaktin Ali, marketing major from University of Florida who's been practicing Krishna consciousness for a year. And then we have Sadhu Sangha Prabhu and his wife, Sudevi Sundari. They are on their way here. They should be here tomorrow, and they'll be overseeing the program. So we have good leadership. We have wonderful facilities, great support from the administration. Now the key is, can we develop the community mood that will make people feel very welcome? And that is our challenge that's before all of us here in the Houston community. So a couple of the key points are to first always remember to go through the authorities. The leaders of these young devotees, their caretakers, are responsible for communicating to them and instructing them. We may be seeing them do inappropriate things, acting inappropriately, speaking inappropriately, using their left hand for eating, any number of things that they just don't know. But it's not our responsibility to correct them. It is the responsibility of their leaders. So if we see the young devotees, and again, there's 5 or 6 of them coming in next Monday. If we see them doing strange things, please tolerate and direct it to the appropriate parties. That's one important thing. The other is to be personal, to smile, to introduce yourself, to ask their names, to welcome them. That's appropriate for everybody. One of the differences that we have developed over the years, or with the cultural practices that we have done that has attracted young people, is to make the Bhagavatam class more like a college class. And this is another cultural shift. Nayanamrita and I had a nice discussion about this, how we can adjust. He is the in charge for the Bhagavatam curriculum, and we've agreed to adjust it in a way that has proved successful in Gainesville. So that's one thing I wanted to share with everyone this morning. We're going to ask your indulgence to try this out, at least for a semester, see how it goes. The components are very simple. First, rather than going one verse a day through the Bhagavatam, we take it in as an overview in a timed study period. We do this by semester. 3 semesters per year, 2 cantos per semester. So starting next Monday, we'll begin with the first canto, and in about 75 classes, we'll do an overview of the first and second canto. This is an average of roughly 10 to 15 verses per day. So the curriculum is structured so that each day there is a portion of the text which is read, and then one verse, a selected verse and purport is studied in more depth. It allows us to take the really beautiful verses, cherry pick the nice verses from the Bhagavatam. It's beautiful in that respect. Some of the most frequently quoted verses will be studied each day. But more than that, it allows the students to absorb the flow of the Bhagavatam more readily. Not everybody has the time in their lives to go through the Bhagavatam verse by verse, which takes something like 12 to 15 years, right? And this way they can say, okay, in a semester I'm going to get this much. If I stay 2 years, I'll get the whole thing. It inspires them to give more of their time to the study. So that system we're going to try out this fall with Nayana Prabhu, your blessings. He has been empowered by Saranga Thakur Prabhu to make these decisions, so we're grateful. I believe you'll find it enlivening. It's not the traditional writing the verse on the board, 1 verse a day. It is quite carefully structured. Then the speakers will also be asked to learn a new mode of presentation for their classes. We're going to be offering some training for those who like to give class. It's really very simple. Rather than giving the class to established devotees who've been around for years and years, the focus goes to the newest person in the room, so that everything the speaker says is something the new person can understand. That means when we quote a verse, for example, we need to explain what the verse means. Now, other devotees in the room may have heard it 500 times, and they know it by memory, but the newcomer has no clue, much a bunch of Greek syllables, right? So explaining the verse that is quoted, if we refer to a personality from the Bhagavatam, like Dhruva Maharaj, well, we have to explain who is Dhruva Maharaj and why is he relevant to this point. If we are talking about a pastime, same thing. We have to embellish it. We have to explain. More or less, if we're looking at the newest person and we're connecting with that person and they are understanding what we're saying, then we're successful. Now, what does that do for everybody else in the class who know these things? What we found at Krishna House in Gainesville is this electricity happens in the room when a new person is getting it and they're absorbing. They release a kind of spiritual energy that uplifts the whole room. It is amazing, but it happens. So the speakers kind of gear down, keep things simple. Shri Shri Radhanila Madhava Ki Jai. I won't go through, we have about 6 or 8 training points. I won't go through them all now. But the point is we do want to have a training for those who'd like to give class. And we, again, ask your indulgence to be prepared to change your game a little bit about how you present Srimad Bhagavatam. Again, if we put the new person at the middle, and just like Prabhupada did, that's when things can take off. That's when the fellowship can grow, the sangha of devotees. So the Bhagavatam class is also to appeal especially to the intellectual class. We set up something that looks a little bit more like a classroom with tables and chairs. Now, great yogis can sit on the floor for an hour comfortably. But people who are not accustomed to that may find it uncomfortable. So we set up a little classroom with tables and chairs, like a classroom-like environment, and the students can sit, take notes. Those who don't care to sit on the chair and table can sit on the floor, it's fine. Those who want to join also can do so. But the point is to create a more academic atmosphere. This has been fantastic, just fantastic for helping the students feel at home and get enthused about studying Bhagavatam. So these are a couple of the structural changes that we're going to put into place for the semester with the blessings of the leadership here. We ask everybody who's participating to please understand and bear with us and see how it goes. To be candid, I was asked to please help introduce things in Houston that have worked in the Gainesville Krishna House. And I wasn't expecting it would go this fast. But before we've even opened, we've had 5 devotees apply to move into the ashram, even just before opening. So we're going to have to start off, hit the ground running. 3 devotees from Dallas, 3 young people from Dallas, 1 brand new to Krishna consciousness, 2 who are devotee kids who want an ashram experience. They were thinking of joining the army for structure in their lives, but they're going to join the ashram instead, isn't that nice? And then a young lady from New York and a young lady from Florida, all moving in. And there's 2 other young devotees who are professionally employed, who would also like to stay in the ashram. They're trying to work it out with their employer. So we have room for about 20, and it looks like we'll be starting with 10. And therefore, these things are a little more urgent. And again, your cooperation is so very, very important. Nayanamrita Prabhu, have I forgotten anything regarding class? Okay. Yes. Yes, they will encompass a certain development in the unfolding of the Bhagavatam. Yeah, piece by piece. Okay, so your point is, so what are some of the things for the class givers? A couple of points. One is to encourage questions even during the talk. That the students know that if a point is made they don't understand, they can raise their hand, and the speaker will acknowledge them. As long as it's on topic, they'll take the inquiries. So that creates a more classroom-like environment. Another is that the class is punctually ended. Just like in school, there's a bell, right? So class, we know it's going to end at 8:30, and no matter how fired up we are, at 8:25 or whatever, 8:20, we wrap it up and say, okay, I'm stopping there now, let's have some discussion. We invite not only questions, but people to give their reflections and their realizations from the topic. What we don't encourage or allow is people to take the mic and start giving another class. Right? Start giving their own soliloquy on an unrelated topic. The idea is that there's a theme for each class, the speaker sticks to the theme, the questions and discussion are relevant to the theme, and the speakers are responsible to keep it on track. Okay. All right, so those are some of the points, and then by 8:30, the other thing, yes, about questions. When people ask questions, Satsvarup Maharaj compared it to a pitch in baseball, or is that also called a pitch in cricket? Yeah. So how many swings do you get at a pitch? You get one. You don't get to swing and say, actually, I think I'll try it this way and that way and the other way. So when people ask a question, you get one shot at an answer, and that shot should be very direct. Answer the question concisely, to the point, and it's not an excuse to start another lecture. So once we ask for questions, we're turning the mic over to the audience. It's not it's not good to just take it back and start dominating again. We're turning it to the audience. We want to hear their thoughts. Giving these kids a chance to speak up is very helpful. Then their experience of Krishna consciousness becomes more apparent to us, and it's very enlivening. It's very enlivening. The other thing we do for class, we're hoping we can implement here, is to have the entire verse and purport, synonyms and everything on the screen. It's a beautiful screen that you have. Letting the students read, letting everybody read the synonyms simultaneously, involving everybody in the discussion. This also makes the class more alive for the students. Okay, these are some of the things about Bhagavatam class. For engagement for the students, just so you know, we hope to implement a Harinam. Okay, thank you. Harinam on college campuses regularly here in Houston. That's a way to mostly strengthen the devotion of the newcomers, but also to find other interested new people from the college communities. And alternatively, they will be working with Bhaktin Laura and Hari Guru Prabhu on the farm project, producing produce for Shishi Radha Nila Madhava. And this, again, is something young people love to do. There's a whole movement of people called woofers who would just go around and live on farms and work for free just for the opportunity. We can try to plug into those people. They just have to be willing, in addition to their woofing. Woof stands for work on organic farm. In addition to woofing, they have to be willing to chant and follow 4 principles and get up in the morning. And there won't be many, but there might be a few like that. So many different ways we're going to try to reach newcomers to join our Sangha. All right, I will stop there. If any questions about the Krishna House project, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. I can't tell you how much this means to me to have this opportunity to share the Gainesville magic here in Houston. Sarvabhauma Prabhu.
Just curious, will it be different on the weekends, the class?
Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, I've a big oversight. The Bhagavatam curriculum is 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And then there are breaks between semesters, just like a college curriculum. During those time, Nayanamrita Prabhu is going to have special curriculum for the community. The students are all at Krishna House may or may not come. It's optional on the weekends, but the community will have a chance. Like, for example, Janmashtami is coming up. There might be a series of readings on Krishna book. Gaur Purnima, some readings from Chaitanya Charitamrita that will take place on weekends and holidays between semesters. Right? Okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for bringing this wonderful project here. So, related question. So, about the timing, Bhagavatam class, which is 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning, so that will continue to be like that, or?
Yes.
And
Yes, with a punctual ending, yes. Yeah.
so that won't, will it be adjust to their school timing or somebody who is working with them, how it's going to work out?
The students know that if they're working or in school, that 9 o'clock is the target time to be able to log in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have another comment. Couple of do's and don'ts you mentioned, like, for example, the Aarti lamp and how to welcome the newcomers and not judge them, things like that. So I think it's very, very good point, and not only the devotees who are present here, but who are not present, I think this kind of do's and don'ts should be, everyone should be educated on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. It's a natural thing when newcomers are regularly coming in, everybody feels enlivened, and the do's and don'ts we'll have to keep repeating as it becomes more and more relevant. We're not so used to having newcomers around, but over time I'm confident, because the mood is so receptive and wonderful here. But thank you, yes, we'll have a lot of training to do. It's an ongoing training, in other words. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, so what would be schedule look like in the Krishna house?
Okay, the schedule at Krishna House will be Mangalarti over there is going to begin at 5 o'clock, or 5:30 rather, because for young people, new people rather, getting up that early is very difficult. So we give them a little more latitude. 5:30 Mangalarti, then they have an hour for japa, and then they'll come over here for Guru Puja and class. So it's not a separate program, but it's slightly modified to accommodate them, their needs. They'll do we're going to have some beautiful Gaur-Nitai deities that have been donated that'll be installed there, or not installed but worshipped. And then the greeting, Mangalarti, japa, and then Guru Puja and class over here. That's the idea. Right. Then after that they do their Harinam or farm seva. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Can we have opportunity to host them in our houses?
I'm sure that would be welcome. Yeah, there's something to coordinate with the ashram leaders or the program director. Yeah, absolutely. Because, you see, most of these young men and women are going to be grihastas. So to have them see Krishna conscious households is so powerful and gives them a vision for their future. So absolutely, it's wonderful. Yeah, that's a great way to bring the community together as well. Thank you. Saranga Thakur Prabhu. Oh, Linda.
Yeah, Prabhu. Can you also share in terms of how the devotees here can help in terms of spreading the word about Krishna House, and what are the, I mean, obviously they might come across so many different individuals in their workplace, in their, so how can they help recruiting, or how can they help in?
Yes, we're starting with the ashram development itself, but as we grow, the vegetarian cooking class, the Harinam's yoga classes at the farm, there'll be ways in which people can put their toe in the water and start to get associated with the Sangha of devotees. We found that that's a secondary phase. Once we get the ashram going and that sense of community and fellowship established at the Krishna House, then there'll be many ways to share it like that. The main thing for the community, for all of us to remember, is that we now are armed and dangerous. If somebody's interested, we are totally ready for them. to have a maximum experience. There is no level of experience of Krishna consciousness they might want to have that we are not ready for. Whether it's just a little or a lot. So that empowers the preachers and will make us all feel more confident. Yes. I see. Mostly students who make that immersion step have some experience of chanting. So it's all the same things we'd already introduced them to. Chanting japa, coming to Govindas, reading Bhagavatam or reading Prabhupada's books. Same thing, but just that depth of option is now there. If they're becoming serious, one of the best things to do is introduce them to the program director or ashram leader, who will know the nuances of how to bring them further along if they're eligible to be residents. It's a big thing to move into an ashram. First of all, your whole family hates you. Right? Starts with that, generally. Right, that's right. So the moving into the ashram is a big step. And it usually ideally it comes after quite a bit of preparation, making friendships with the devotees, practicing bhakti in various ways. So just the same kind of encouragement a preacher would give to anyone. The same is there. It's just that now we know that we're more prepared and to follow up to any degree that person wants. No, these are very qualified people. No lazies and crazies. Yes, Prabhuji. Is there...
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. What is the ultimate goal for these people who are moving in?
To have an experience of Krishna consciousness that will last them a lifetime. To have such a taste that they will always want to be part of the Parasparanu Katanam, the Sangha of devotees. And whether the Grihastas or... very few will be lifelong renunciates. Most of them are going to be Grihastas, so we give that preparation. How you can be Krishna conscious at home. That's why home visits are so wonderful.
So once they get out of the Krishna house, they will have their life and families and in Krishna conscious way.
Correct.
Okay.
The only criterion is that they're single. We don't have married couples at the ashram. These are for single young men and women who are taking some time off for just immersing themselves in spiritual life.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the great class, actually. And I assume these classes are going to be in the temple room, yes. So they will be online and recorded for everyone to view. The best thing I have got from this class was Krishna consciousness is not about philosophy or logic, but our behavior is what is getting more devotees to Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much for that point, Prabhu. Behavior.
Thank you.
I just wanted to briefly share my experience related to the points you were mentioning, specifically focusing on the newcomer, because when I was coming to Krishna House in Gainesville 3 years ago, I was very skeptical of religion. I think a lot of young people are in the world. So the fact that in Bhagavatam class I was allowed to speak up, I was allowed to ask any questions, there were no taboo subjects or questions, I could speak freely and I was respected. They would give me the microphone like this and I can use my voice, not some sort of authoritarian feeling that I might get if I go to some other church. So it really, really helped me to gain faith in Krishna consciousness, that I was given a place and I was empowered to speak. I'm now empowered to be a leader And so all of this has allowed me to see that it's possible for me to stick out, to keep doing this.
And you should have heard the nonsense he would say. No, this is the point. The classes are very free, and all kinds of controversies, difficult issues are brought up, things that are really on their mind. Thank you very much, Priya. That's very nice, important realization. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. You mentioned it. Too loud. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Couple of comments on, you mentioned about the training part of it, so I want to expand a little bit on that. And also the timeline, when does all of these things happen? So I thought I'll make a comment on that. As far as the training is concerned for the speakers, Saranga Thakur, myself, and Kalakant Prabhuji, we are working on guidelines for the speakers. As soon as that document is finalized, hopefully today or tomorrow, then we had a discussion about sharing that with the speakers, so they have access to and they know what the expectations are on the Bhagavatam class from the speaker's point of view. Okay? Kalakant Prabhu told me that he wants to start this program on 23rd of August. And if we're going to start on 23rd of August, then we need to have different things happen before that, including the training and whatever the other logistics that we need to have in a place in order to make that happen. So today we have another meeting to discuss the timeline also as to what do we do on what date so that we achieve the goal of starting on August 23rd. So as soon as we have all that information, we will be transparent with you and we'll share that all that with you so you know what is going on as far as the planning is concerned. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, again, I realize it's very sudden, short notice. It's just that so many people have joined. We need to move quickly. Thank you. Jai Shri Radha Nilamata. Haribo. It is now 8:30. We have to show by example. Okay. Saranga Thakur Prabhu, any last reflections thoughts you'd like to share?
Again, we would like to thank Kalakanta Prabhu and Jitamitra Mataji for their vision and their support for starting this project. And so let us all come together and support them and wholeheartedly so we can make this as a wonderful offering to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Radha Nila Madhava. So let us all come together and support them in whatever way. And if you have any additional questions or clarifications, Prabhu is staying here for at least another week. And he will be visiting us also often until this project gets more self-sustainable. Obviously, he is bringing so many of his qualified trainees and leaders here to get it started with. So if you have any further clarifications or how you can help and how you can assist with the project, please see either Kalakanta Prabhu or myself, and we'll be glad to share any additional details. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Shyamasundar Prabhu?
You can say we got the permit.
Oh yeah. Also, we would like to officially announce that we got the permit for the new Brahmachari ashram as of yesterday. So, which will accommodate about 28 more devotees. So as these devotees get trained in the Krishna house, the idea is to, as they graduate from the Krishna house program, they can kind of join, if they choose to, this Brahmachari ashram program, and they can help out with the Sankirtan in Houston and spreading this Krishna consciousness all around Houston. And so it will be a wonderful facility. So we are looking forward to getting the renovation and construction started.
That's great news. One question, will there be a place for brahmacharinis also?
We are working on that as well. Okay. And obviously, as Prabhu already mentioned, there is no place for lazies and crazies. So it's all very qualified, very well trained personalities are going to be we are going to be developing. And so we would wish that all of you eagerly involve in these programs and support like Kalakanta Prabhu mentioned, in all the different ways that you can support. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Also, our Sunday feast cooking team is requesting if anybody can help out with the vegetable cut-up. We need few more hands today. So if you have, after taking your prasadam plates, please go there, and the more the merrier. We can hopefully finish it in few minutes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.